Before a single word leaves your mouth, she has already begun to read you. The rhythm of your steps, the way you hold your shoulders, and how your eyes meet hers or look away all speak on your behalf. These quiet signals set the stage long before conversation begins. Yet most men never notice the story they are silently telling. They assume attraction is crafted through clever remarks, expensive outings, or drawn-out dialogue. You might recognize the scene. You are speaking with a woman. The exchange is polite, yet something is missing. The warmth is there, but the spark is not. Smiles fade, and the moment passes without leaving a trace. What often goes unseen is that connection begins in the smallest movements. A pause before speaking that draws her closer, a tilt of the head that shows genuine attention, or a subtle smile that feels like a shared secret. These are not tricks or rehearsed gestures. They are natural reflections of presence and calm. They speak of a man at ease with himself, which is far more compelling than any line of words. This is where the wisdom of Stoicism proves invaluable. The Stoics taught that true influence comes from inner mastery. When you release the restless need to impress and instead act with steady purpose, you project a quiet strength. She senses it without effort, and her response often shifts in kind. In this session, we will explore 9 practical behaviors that reshape how women perceive you before you even speak. With them, connection is no longer something you try to manufacture. It arises naturally, grounded in who you are. Let us begin. The deliberate head tilt is one of those gestures that almost no one thinks about, yet its influence is remarkable. When done with intention, this small movement conveys presence, warmth, and even intimacy without a single word spoken. The secret lies in how it is carried out. It cannot be rushed or twitchy. It must be calm, steady, and seemingly natural, as if your body itself is saying, "I am fully here with you." Picture a moment. Daniel, 47, an architect in Seattle, is on a quiet second date with Julia, 44, at a candlelit restaurant. As Julia recalls a vivid memory from her trip through Greece, Daniel is already facing her. When her voice brightens with enthusiasm, he tilts his head just slightly, maintaining steady eye contact while letting the silence linger for a heartbeat. His gesture communicates, without interruption, that her words matter. She feels encouraged to continue, drawn in by the depth of his focus. Why does such a small action have such an effect? First, it softens the atmosphere, revealing even a sliver of the neck signals ease rather than defensiveness, a subtle non-verbal cue of trust. Second, it reinforces true listening. By aligning his body more directly with hers, Daniel shows genuine interest, not just waiting for his turn to speak. But the most striking impact comes when this tilt is paired with steady eye contact. In that moment, the noise of the room fades, and what remains is the feeling of exclusive attention, something increasingly rare in a distracted world. Timing, however, is everything. The right moment might be when she smiles, recalls a cherished memory, or shares something personal. Then, and only then, the tilt becomes meaningful. Julia later found herself leaning closer as she spoke, without even realizing it. This is the subtle magnetism at work. Yet overuse spoils the effect. If you tilt your head every other sentence, it becomes mechanical and loses power. Think of it as seasoning. A little elevates the experience, too much overwhelms it. Facial expression matters as well. A tilt combined with a flat or distant gaze can come across as cold. The same tilt softened with gentle eyes and the faint trace of a smile. However, strikes the balance between warmth and curiosity. This is where Stoic wisdom meets practice. Presence, after all, is central to Stoic discipline. Epictetus reminded us that listening outweighs speaking. The deliberate head tilt is a physical reminder of that truth. It is not about performance. It is about demonstrating, through action, that your attention is whole and undivided. Think back to your most recent conversation with a woman you admired. Were you waiting for your turn, or were you truly listening? This single gesture can change that dynamic instantly. As you apply it with purpose, you will notice her stories becoming longer, more personal, and more vivid. Try making it your own by writing in the comments, "I listen fully," and if the quiet power of this gesture intrigues you, wait until we explore how something as small as the movement of an eyebrow can shift the entire flow of an interaction. The second gesture is the single eyebrow raise. A micro-expression so subtle yet so powerful that it can shift the energy of an interaction instantly. When timed well, it creates a spark of curiosity and playful tension without a single word. Its strength lies in its speed and restraint. Most men either exaggerate it or miss the right moment entirely. But when you master it, the atmosphere between you and her changes in an instant. The key is intention. This is not a random twitch of the face. It must be tied to the right context, such as when she teases you lightly, makes a bold remark, or tries to draw a reaction. Instead of laughing too loudly or rushing with a clever comeback, you let one eyebrow rise just enough to be noticed, yet not so much that its meaning is obvious. The beauty of this gesture is its ambiguity. It invites her to interpret, to wonder what you really meant, and in that small uncertainty, her interest deepens. There is also a psychological element here. Human beings are naturally drawn to facial asymmetry because it disrupts the familiar. An eyebrow raise is a small disruption, subtle enough to intrigue but never overwhelming. And unlike a theatrical reaction, it comes across as authentic, precisely because it feels understated. Yet moderation is essential. Overuse turns mystery into parody. A single eyebrow raised at the right time is magnetic. Repeated too often, it loses all effect. Think of it as punctuation, not the entire sentence. This is also a practice in discipline, something the Stoics would appreciate. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that our minds color our actions. The eyebrow raise only works if your inner state matches the calm and composed energy you project. To practice, slow down your overall reactions. When she says something that tempts you to respond immediately, pause for a brief moment. Let your expression reveal thought before your voice does. In that pause, you may decide that a subtle eyebrow lift is the best reply. What follows is just as important. After the raise, you might let a faint smile touch your lips, or you might hold steady eye contact for a heartbeat longer before glancing away. Each variation shapes the mood differently. The true elegance of this gesture lies in how it leaves space for her imagination. In that silence, she becomes more engaged, wondering what is behind your expression. From a body language perspective, the eyebrow raise is a show of composure. You are not reacting impulsively. You are listening, evaluating, and then choosing to respond in a way that is measured and playful. This is what makes it captivating. It invites her to lean into the moment, to expand on her thoughts, or to join in the teasing exchange. So the next time you find yourself in a situation where she challenges you or offers a playful remark, resist the urge to overreact. Let your eyebrow carry the message. Mark your commitment by writing in the comments. I spark intrigue, and if such a small gesture can shift her focus, imagine the effect of a perfectly timed lean that makes her feel she has been drawn directly into your world. The third gesture is the composed lean-in, a movement that many men either rush into or avoid altogether. They fail to see that it is not merely about closing the distance. It is about rhythm, patience, and choosing the right moment. When done with intention, the lean-in creates the impression of an intimate bubble where the outside world seems to fade away. Imagine Robert, 53, and Claire, 46, seated at a lively wine lounge in Austin, where the lights are low and soft music fills the background. Their conversation flows easily. Robert remains relaxed, leaning back slightly, his hands resting loosely. Then, as Claire begins to speak about a project that carries real meaning for her, her tone softens and her gaze lingers on his. That is the moment Robert subtly leans in, closing just enough space to signal that he is fully with her. The effect is immediate. Claire's voice lowers, her attention sharpens, and the bustle around them fades. This is not a gesture of neediness, but of presence. By leaning in only when the subject deepens, Robert conveys emotional intelligence. He shows that he can read the moment and respond without forcing it. There is also a physiological layer at work. When someone we find appealing enters our personal space with calm and control, the body often releases oxytocin, the chemical tied to trust and connection. The mistake many men make is either leaning in too soon or staying too close for too long. Moving forward during casual small talk feels intrusive, while hovering forward for the entire conversation erases the power of contrast. The strength of the composed lean lies in its timing. By beginning at ease and holding space, you create a sense of patience. Then, when you finally lean in, the change in posture carries weight. It signals that the moment matters. Your eyes and expression must match the movement. A lean-in paired with disengaged eyes feels false. A lean-in combined with steady, warm attention communicates authenticity. Just as important is the use of contrast. Sometimes leaning back at the right moment can be just as effective, creating a playful gap that invites her to close it. This gentle balance between approach and retreat amplifies the sense of connection. The composed lean is not limited to romance. It can be used to emphasize a meaningful point, to deliver humor with intimacy, or to share something personal. Yet in the context of attraction, its ability to draw her closer is undeniable. Robert later noticed that Claire began leaning toward him more often, a mirror of his own movement. That single, deliberate lean had set the tone, subtly guiding the rhythm of their interaction. The fourth gesture is the thoughtful jaw or chin touch, a movement that carries a quiet gravity when executed with intention. When a man slowly brings his hand to his jaw, it signals contemplation and composure, qualities that rarely go unnoticed. Done naturally, it communicates more than simple reflection. It suggests deliberation, restraint, and a sense that you do not reveal everything at once. Its impact lies in the contrast it creates. In a culture where silence often feels uncomfortable and people rush to fill every pause, a calm jaw touch shifts the tempo of the interaction. It suggests that you value stillness and weigh your words carefully before speaking. This makes the entire exchange feel more deliberate, more meaningful. Timing is crucial. The gesture has the most effect when paired with genuine reflection, such as while absorbing her words, considering your response, or listening intently. If your eyes wander while doing it, the impression may slip into distraction. To be effective, your gaze must remain present, showing that your attention is firmly on her. The movement itself should be slow, unforced, and rare enough to retain its weight. Your hand rises naturally, brushes the jaw or steadies the chin, lingers for a beat, then returns to rest. This simple pause is powerful because it demonstrates self-possession. You are not scrambling for approval or rushing to respond. Instead, you show that your words emerge from reflection, not impulse. When you finally do speak, your voice carries added significance, shaped by the expectation you have quietly created. Equally important is what the gesture conveys about your overall presence. Nervous, fidgeting, constant adjustments, or hurried gestures project unease. A still, thoughtful jaw touch signals steadiness, the kind of grounded energy that draws attention without effort. In many ways, it serves as a form of nonverbal punctuation. It marks a moment of thought, tells her that you are deliberate, and distinguishes you from those who rush headlong into every silence. Few qualities are more magnetic than patience paired with purpose. Affirm this lesson by writing in the comments, "I move with intent," and if such a simple gesture can heighten presence. Imagine the effect of a purposeful pause before you speak, drawing her in to anticipate every word. The fifth gesture is the pre-speech pause. Many men believe charm depends on quick wit or instant replies. In truth, the opposite often holds more power. A man who allows a brief silence before answering does more than manage the pace of a conversation. He influences the entire atmosphere, something women notice almost immediately. Picture Anthony, 45, and Rachel, 42, sitting at a rooftop bar in San Diego, the city lights shimmering below them. Amid the hum of conversation, Rachel playfully asks, "So, are you always this confident?" The usual response would be a quick, eager answer meant to impress. But Anthony resists that impulse. He lets the words hang in the air for a couple of seconds before speaking. That pause alone communicates composure, patience, and a lack of neediness. He is not scrambling to fill the silence. Instead, he is secure enough to share it with her. Psychologically, silence generates tension, and when used wisely, tension heightens attraction. Think of music. A pause before the chorus makes the next note hit harder. In conversation, a short pause before replying makes your words feel more deliberate and meaningful. It shows that you process what she says instead of reacting without thought. The danger lies in too long a pause feels awkward or disengaged. The ideal length is around 2 or 3 seconds, just enough for her to notice your deliberation, but not enough to break the flow. In that small space, you signal that her words matter and that your reply carries weight. What makes this powerful is not only thoughtfulness, but also control of rhythm. By slowing your responses, you subtly set the tempo of the dialogue. She will often match your pace, which allows you to lead the interaction without pressure or force. The pause also creates room for other cues. A slight head tilt, a narrowing of the eyes, or the trace of a smirk just before you speak can give your eventual words even more impact. Returning to Anthony and Rachel. After his brief silence and measured response, she laughed and leaned closer. The moment was shaped not by what he said, but by how he allowed the pause to set the stage. If silence alone can create this effect, consider what happens when you combine it with a well-timed gesture of the hand, a subtle move that can direct attention to your every word. The sixth gesture is the hand steeple. a posture often associated with leaders, skilled negotiators, and seasoned speakers. The motion is simple. Fingertips pressed together while the palms remain slightly apart, forming the shape of a steeple. Yet behind this simplicity lies a strong message. It communicates calm authority, inner stability, and confidence in your own space. Its effectiveness comes from what it does not convey. It is not defensive, hurried, or restless. Instead, it shows that you are centered, your thoughts are ordered, and you have nothing to prove. When you eventually break the steeple to let your hands move naturally as you speak, it carries symbolic weight. It feels as though your words were reserved until precisely the right moment, making them seem more significant. The Stoics would have recognized the wisdom behind this stillness. Marcus Aurelius once reflected that we should not meet disorder with disorder. The steeple reflects this principle in physical form. It allows you to meet any energy, whether playful, challenging, or tense with composure. However, like all powerful gestures, moderation matters. Holding the pose for too long risks looking calculated or even arrogant. Used sparingly, it communicates control without pretension in serious exchanges. The steeple combined with upright posture and steady eye contact projects steadiness. You become the anchor of the interaction. This quality is magnetic, especially in settings where many men betray nervousness by fiddling with objects, adjusting clothing, or tapping feet. By contrast, the stillness of the steeple demonstrates you are fully comfortable in your own skin, giving her the reassurance that you are present and attentive. It is also a subtle way of guiding the tempo. The person who moves with less frequency and more purpose often sets the rhythm of the interaction. Within that rhythm, attraction grows. The hand steeple, when used with care, marks you as composed and intentional. A man whose calm presence naturally draws others closer. The seventh gesture is the combination of a shoulder shrug with a smirk, a pairing that communicates effortless ease. It sends a message that you are engaged but not overly invested, that you are enjoying the moment without needing to control it. This blend of casualness and playful charm creates intrigue, a dynamic that often proves irresistible. Its power comes from the dual signals it sends. The shrug conveys that something is light or unimportant. The smirk, however, hints that perhaps there is more beneath the surface, as if you are in on a private joke. Together, they form a subtle push and pull, keeping her curious about your true thoughts. Picture this: Ethan, 49, and Laura, 45, are at a backyard barbecue in Denver, caught up in a spirited debate about which rock band truly defined the 1980s. Laura insists on one answer, Ethan on another. As she challenges him with mock seriousness, Ethan gives a relaxed shrug paired with a faint smirk. It is not dismissive, but rather teasing, an invitation for her to continue the banter. The exchange deepens instead of ending, and both of them lean further into the playful rivalry. Timing here is everything. A shrug and smirk in response to a serious or vulnerable comment would seem careless or disrespectful. Used during moments of light-hearted disagreement or minor teasing, however, it lands perfectly. The smirk works because it is more restrained than a broad smile. It withholds just enough to spark curiosity, encouraging her to wonder what you are really thinking. That curiosity keeps her engaged. The deeper value of this gesture lies in what it communicates about your state of mind. It says, I am here to enjoy this, and my sense of ease is not dependent on persuading you or proving myself. This level of self-assurance is naturally attractive. Women respect it because it reflects steadiness rather than insecurity. Claim this mindset by writing in the comments, "I play it cool," and if a shrug and smirk can create this spark, imagine the effect of extending eye contact for just a moment longer than expected, pulling her further into your world. The eighth gesture is the sustained gaze with a half smile, a combination that can shift the entire tone of an interaction in an instant. When executed well, it conveys a balance of confidence, curiosity, and playful intrigue. The gaze is steady but not harsh, the smile restrained rather than obvious. Together they form a middle ground that is neither too open nor too closed, which makes it so captivating. Its strength lies in how the human brain interprets faces. We instinctively scan the eyes and mouth for meaning. When your eyes hold hers and your lips curve just slightly, you create tension that feels deliberate. It is not a vacant stare and not a wide grin, but something in between, something that sparks her imagination. The secret is authenticity. If your internal state is restless or contrived, it will show. The gaze and half smile work best when they reflect genuine calm. They should emerge in moments that feel natural, such as just after she says something thought-provoking or just before you respond. That is when the look feels organic rather than rehearsed. The timing must be subtle. Hold eye contact a fraction longer than you normally would. Allow the half smile to appear, then ease back to a neutral expression. This small sequence slows the rhythm of the conversation. She begins to wonder what you are thinking, and in that wondering, you occupy more of her attention. What makes this so effective is not only the signal itself, but the silence it creates. The pause between your expression and your next words invites her to lean inward, both mentally and emotionally. Over time, this understated look weaves a thread of intrigue that deepens the connection without a single word spoken. The ninth gesture is the space-claiming move, a subtle but unmistakable way of signaling ease and authority. It's not about posturing or arrogance, it's about expanding naturally into the space you already occupy. This can be seen in how you recline in a chair with an arm resting casually over the back, how you place a steady hand on the bar while letting your shoulders drop, or how you stand with your feet planted, chest open, and posture upright. The unspoken message is clear. I am comfortable here. I belong here. Picture Tom, 52, at a Napa wine tasting, seated across from Claire, 49, as she shares an amusing story. Instead of leaning forward too soon or nervously fidgeting with his glass, Tom settles back, draping his arm over the chair with his drink resting loosely at his side. His body language didn't demand the tension, it created an atmosphere. Claire felt encouraged to continue, sensing his calm engagement without a word needing to be spoken. That is the essence of the space-claiming gesture. Presence without pressure. When executed well, it draws others in. Socially and romantically, people gravitate toward those who exude composure, because such posture radiates self-possession and receptivity. Women in particular are highly attuned to these cues, often noticing and responding instinctively to them. The principle aligns closely with Stoic wisdom. Epictetus reminded us, no great thing is created suddenly. The same applies to presence. It isn't about a single action, but about cultivating a quiet, grounded confidence through the way you sit, stand, and move. Over time, these small signals accumulate into something magnetic. To occupy space with comfort and intention is to demonstrate, silently but powerfully, that you are a man in command of himself. If this message struck a chord with you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future insights on subtle shifts. that can transform both your presence and your mindset. Our focus here is not on chasing, but on leading with calm, authority, and clarity. This is a space for collective growth, where each small adjustment compounds into lasting change. Thank you for investing your time today, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you tomorrow.